Hello, Namaskar, and a very good evening to all the viewers connecting with us through different channels of eVidya. You are watching this particular live telecast on eVidya channel number 6 to 12. And besides this, viewers, you can all connect with us through so many mediums, and one of them is our YouTube channel that you all know. It is NCRT Official. This is Simran Singh, and I would like to welcome all our viewers in our NCRT's live interactive session. And let me take a moment to welcome all our viewers once again on the 5th day of our online training session on pedagogical perspective of virtual labs on Diksha. So viewers, since the past 4 days we have been conducting these online training sessions for all of you, whether it's the teachers, students, teacher administrators, educators, everybody can be a part of our live sessions by raising your queries, your questions in the comment section of NCERT Official. Besides, if you are watching this particular live telecast through television, then here is a contact number that is flashing on your screens. So in case of doubts, feel free to give us a call at 8800440559. Besides, you can always reach out to us through the help desk mail ID flashing on your screens. It is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So as we are conducting our 5 days online training session on pedagogical perspective of virtual labs on Diksha, today is the 5th day and the concluding day for our online training program, where we are going to discuss at length about the pedagogical usage of virtual labs, and the subject is science. We all know that technological advancements, surely they are a boon for the society, but at the same time they might pose certain challenges for the young ones. Therefore, our younger generation have to be equipped with certain skills like problem solving, competition building, and at the same time our pedagogy and education has to evolve in a certain way that it becomes more student or learner oriented, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, discussion based, and of course flexible and enjoyable. While discussing about virtual labs, it is important to mention that virtual labs, they are not the replacement of physical laboratory, but providing equality access to each and every child and their hands-on on virtual laboratory experiences that you may try anytime, anywhere. So let me quickly take you across the topics that we have discussed so far in our 5 days online training program. So we started the training program on 10th of July 2023. We discussed at length about virtual labs, the policy perspectives, their need and scope. Then on the second day of our online training program, we elaborated on virtual labs, how they can be a learning tool for everyone. On the third day, that is on 12th of July, we discussed about the pedagogical usage of virtual labs for the subject mathematics, and yesterday it was for the subject English or languages I should say, and today it is about the pedagogical usage of virtual labs for the subject science. And once we conclude this particular training program, we are going to upload a quiz link for all of you. That is the post session activity, and if you score over 70% in our quiz, then you will be able to receive a certificate from CIET NCRT. And one more information, viewers, stay connected with us throughout the program so that you can get all the details regarding the 5 days online training program, and at the same time how you can register yourself and attain the quiz link. So without further ado, let's start today's conversation, and let me introduce you to the expert for today. We are joined by Professor Shashi Prabha ma'am in the studio, head at PRD CIET NCRT. Namaskar ma'am.
Namaskar.
Good evening ma'am. We welcome you in the conversation, and as I just informed all our learners that we are going to discuss about the pedagogical usage of virtual labs for science. So ma'am, what is it that we have for all our learners today?
Yes, today we are going to discuss that how virtual lab can be integrated with teaching learning of science, and at various stages of teaching learning, how it can help student to enhance their conceptual understanding. Mainly we will take one example and we will discuss how we can transact the concept with the help of the virtual lab in the classroom.
Sure ma'am, and let's discuss it at length with the help of the slides that ma'am has prepared for all of us.
Yes, actually regarding virtual lab, our NEP 2020 emphasizes that existing e-learning platforms such as Diksha, Swayam Prabha should be leveraged for creating virtual lab, so that all students have equal access to quality practical and hands on experiment. And NEP also emphasizes on the pedagogical aspect of teaching learning of science and all subject, that it must evolve to make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, learner centered, discussion based, flexible, and of course enjoyable. So, all these aspects we have to keep in mind while performing experiment through virtual lab. And also our NCERT textbook on pedagogy of science mentions 4 objectives of laboratory work. One is the cognitive abilities, process skills of science, development of scientific attitude, and understanding nature of science. So, all these are important, and obviously virtual lab also objective is similar. In addition, there should be digital fluency, digital literacy in order to perform the virtual lab. So, virtual lab is used to enhance conceptual understanding, integrating it with relevant concept and illustration of various concept, and also to get acquainted with apparatus and equipment, developing science process skills and independent thinking.
And
so,
yes ma'am, what are the different science process skills that we are discussing about in the conversation?
yes, science process skills, basic process skills are observation, communication, classification, measurement, inference and prediction. So, all science teachers are aware of these skills. And integrated process skills are controlling variable, defining operationally, and formulating hypotheses, experimenting, interpreting data, formulating models. Now, the models can be mental model, it can be physical model, it can be digital model. So, all these are skills. So, how to control the variable, and what are the conditions that you are applying to perform an experiment, and what definition that you can provide for determination of any physical quantity. So, that is important. And hypothesis formation is also very important, because unless you know the process, unless you know the concept, you cannot formulate hypothesis. And similarly doing experiment and interpretation of data, that is also a skill.
Of course. And ma'am, generally when we talk about virtual labs, viewers might think that it is only for performing experiments, but how pedagogically it could be used to develop and enhance the conceptual building for different classes?
So, very good question and very relevant question you have asked. Obviously, the physical laboratory can also be used to integrate with concept, and also to get familiarized with the heavy apparatus and equipment, but integrating virtual lab with the concept, that is very easy, because the lab is available at the click of the mouse, and it can be done within few minutes. And also, in addition to performing of the experiment, during classroom teaching learning, while we are transacting any concept, virtual laboratory can be used, and it can be used for inquiry driven teaching learning process. Some virtual lab work can be given as the homework, and also it can be used as exercise, and in the classroom it can be used as demonstration plus discussion, because only demonstration is not going to help student understand the concept. Discussion is very important, and prediction and testing and retesting. For example, what will happen if the object is falling, two objects, one heavier, one lighter object is falling from the same height, will they reach at the ground at the same time? What are your prediction, and what are your justification, what are your explanation? And obviously virtual lab can be used in the group setting, like collaborative skill, for the development of collaborative skills, and also for individual work. So, there are various settings at various stages of teaching learning, and also during various strategies of teaching learning we can use virtual lab.
And ma'am, while using virtual labs, what is the major role that our teacher plays?
Yes, teacher role is should be like co-constructor of knowledge, because it is inquiry based and it has to be integrative with the concept as well as with the previous knowledge of the student, with the existing idea of the student, and it has to be done in collaborative setup, and also it should be closely intertwined with assessment, closely embedded with assessment, and learning is meaningful when the process is reflective. That is, whenever we are learning something, we reflect, what did we learn, what difficulty did we face, what is the meaning of this, we could not understand the explanation of this, what are the alternative explanation, why did we reject those explanation, why did we accept this explanation. All these things are very, very important. So, teacher role is very important here. Yes.
And ma'am, please also explain us about the cognitive speech and the 6 skills that are required within that.
Yes, these skills, whatever skills are here, we talked that the laboratory work should be integrated, intertwined with the assessment. So, while doing assessment, it is of utmost importance that all the cognitive aspects are assessed, like remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating and creating. That is, many questions can be framed, that is higher order thinking skill, and also many questions can be form that is open ended, so that students are motivated to think. And while doing virtual lab, it can also be, it can be taken as the pre-lab session, like before performing experiment in the actual setup, students can be facilitated to perform experiment virtually. And also there are some experiments, especially up to secondary stage, that can be performed from locally available material that is available in our surrounding. So, like we shall discuss about motion of a simple pendulum. It can be formed it can be designed at home also with some sphere or some heavy mass and thread and hang it and measure it. So, let us do it first virtually and then do it physically at home. So, that can be given as an exercise, and then open ended question can be asked here.
And ma'am, we would also like to know the pedagogy of virtual labs in detail.
Yes, that is really we need to think that laboratory work does not mean that just by performing experiment. Here in the case of virtual lab, just by clicking at certain icon, or in physical lab just doing something and recording observation. Underlying concept is very, very important to understand. So, for enriched learning, for enhanced learning, to maximize learning, it is important that we plan it very meticulously. So, that first session, a pre-lab session, where before performing the experiment, let us perform pre-lab session, where we can discuss with the student what are their existing ideas regarding the concept, and how do they plan to perform the experiment, what are their curiosity. Let us pay attention to their question. And in the case of virtual lab, we can allow our student to read the theory, like on the Diksha platform. Yes. Virtual labs are available, and till now many sessions have been conducted. I am sure students and teachers are aware to handle various aspect, theory and simulator and procedure. So, let the student read the instructions given on the virtual platform, and also let them play, and what are their planning. So teacher can do pre-assessment of students by eliciting their existing idea. And then the second is performance session, that is experimentation session. In the experimentation session, that is performance session, they actually perform the experiment, record observations, analyze data, present the result, draw the graph, and then post lab session. So post lab session, what was the result and what is the significance of result? For example, we are talking about simple pendulum. So if we are asking to determine the value of acceleration due to gravity, so what is the real application of G? Why do we find out acceleration due to gravity? So students should be aware that the value of G is very helpful for geological survey, and scientists determine presence of mineral deposit at a place, and also value of G is different at different places. We are sending Chandrayaan. So
Yes.
what is the value of G at the moon, and what should be the different parameters of our rocket and all measuring device? So this is very important and
course.
interesting. Similarly, all the concepts actually are applicable in our everyday life. So let students explore those applications. So mainly we can say that three phases, one is exploration, then experimentation, and then communication. That is pre-lab session, performance, and post-lab session. So unless it is performed, virtual lab or physical lab is conducted in different session, it is not going to contribute much to the learning of student, because that will remain only an exercise.
And ma'am, why have you divided in three major sessions?
Because our NEP and also our NCF SE talks that learner construct their learning by connecting with their previous existing ideas. So inductive approach of teaching learning is more impressive, more meaningful, because then students have that confidence that they can do, and they derive the conclusion, they construct the concept, they define any quantity on the basis of their observation. Like in the case of verification of Ohm's law, if we say that verify Ohm's law, already it is given that V upon I is constant, then there is no curiosity on the part of the learner. But if we say that find out V, potential difference across the conductor, find what is the value of current flowing through various length of the conductor, when various potential difference is applied. So what do you find the ratio? Is it constant? Then they find themselves, okay, V upon I is constant. So that is their own learning. They own their learning, and that leads to independent learning also.
Learning by doing.
Learning by doing, and that develops a sense of belongingness to the learner, that this is my learning. So it is very important. So in the pre-lab session, I shall repeat that read the theory procedure, formulate and ask question, because asking scientifically variable question, that is also important for teaching teaching of science. So formulating and asking question, now brainstorm the idea in the class, and then discuss the functional feature of the menu, experimental design, and make predictions, and then explore the simulation. Like in the simple pendulum experiment, let us make the prediction that time period of a simple pendulum does not depend upon the mass of the bob, or someone can say that it depends upon the mass of the bob. So that is my prediction, that is your prediction, and let us test our prediction. So and then we shall explore the simulation. Then during pre-session, teacher has to help facilitate students to do the assessment, and also how to lead the group discussion, because collaborative skill that is also one of the important skill that has been emphasized in our document NEP. So, learning to work in a team setup, in a collaborative setup, listening to others and respecting each other's idea, that is also very important.
Course. And ma'am, now we would like to have one example where that particular experiment might be useful for the different classes as well.
Yes, so we are taking example of simple pendulum. So, let us open this page. So, you can see that there is theory. So, we click at the theory part and we read the theory part. What are the objectives? It is given to plot LT graph using simple pendulum, to find the effective length of the simple pendulum using graph, and to calculate acceleration due to gravity, and definition of simple pendulum, and the formula is given, T is equal to 2 pi square root L over G, and G is acceleration due to gravity. So, let us go through this theory part, and then procedure is given, procedure for experimental work and procedure for simulations, both are provided here. How to run the simulation, it is also given here, and how to record the observation, it is given. Now, animation is there. So, you can see the animation. Let us play the animation. Yes, sound please. Yes, you can see how to measure the diameter.
We can use vernier calipers to measure the diameter.
So, measure the diameter.
Inertia, no tension, perfectly inelastic. Measure the ideal string. Ideal string means no mass, no weight, no inertia, no tension, perfectly inelastic. Measure the length of the string, starting from the top to the middle of the bob. The simple pendulum. Time period of oscillation depends on the length.
Now let us come to the simulator. Yes.
Yes, this is one of the experiments where we are demonstrating how for one particular experiment can be used for different classes. Ma'am, there's one question as well I would like to ask you.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, when it comes to science, particularly there is one prominent challenge that we face, that is integrating laboratory work with the theoretical aspect. So, how virtual labs could ensure that?
Yes, like in class 6, there is chapter on motion. In class 7th also chapter is motion and time. In class 11th there is oscillation. So, just look at the oscillation of the pendulum. Please show the screen. So, we know the definition, we can explain the definition of effective length. So, effective length, it is the distance length between the point of suspension and the center of gravity of the bob. So, length of the pendulum is length of the thread plus length of the hook plus radius of the bob, that is the effective length. Okay. And now it is oscillation. So, what is the meaning of time period? So, time period we can find out that time taken by the object to complete one oscillation. Like when it is at extreme left, let us count it at 0 and then 1 and then 2, then 3. So, 3 oscillation. So, how much time it has taken to complete this 3 oscillation. So, similarly we can count the number of oscillation, 20 oscillation, how much time does it take. So, here the timer will start and here we can take protractor. So, what is the amplitude of oscillation? So, if we have taken a protractor, so amplitude of oscillation is maximum distance from the mean position. So, set up a pendulum, that is given in class 7. So, student can while teaching the chapter, we can just show it and set up the pendulum. So, first of all they can do virtual experiment, then they can individually, all of them can make one pendulum taking the thread, and in 6th standard it is only definition of the time period and frequency and time period. So, number of oscillation completed per second. So, what is that frequency or time period? So, we can understand that way.
So,
and
there is expansion of the concept in different classes.
Different. So, 6th and 8th, and then we come to 9th standard, then again we can talk about the displacement, and also we can talk about the amplitude and what the direction of velocity. The velocity is different. So, we can talk about that here the amplitude, where the amplitude is maximum at the extreme position. You look at it at the extreme position, acceleration is maximum, velocity is 0. And when we come to 11th standard, we are talking about restoring force also. Restoring force, why does the bob keeps on oscillating? Why does it keep on coming at the mean position again and again? So, restoring force is acting on it. So, here what is happening, where velocity is maximum. So, velocity is maximum at the mean position. As it moves beyond the mean position, its velocity goes on decreasing, and when it becomes 0, then it comes back. Okay. And again it is maximum, and then again due to inertia it does not stop at the mean position, but it moves, exceeds the mean position towards my left side, and again this process continues. So, restoring force, oscillatory motion, this is an example of oscillatory motion. So, different types of motions have been discussed in class 6 and 8 also. This is periodic motion, this is oscillatory motion. So, the question students ask that all periodic motions are oscillatory motion. So, let us take an example.
Okay.
So, the earth moves around the sun, so that is the periodic motion. But that is not oscillatory motion. In oscillatory motion, there is motion of the particle across some fixed position. So, earth does not move like this, earth moves around the sun like this.
Okay.
That is spins on the axis, that is different types of motion. We shall talk about that sometime later. So, all these can be explained here. And in 11th standard, we talk about mathematical expression also, that displacement y is equal to a sin omega t plus phi. Okay. So, displacement, say this much distance from the mean position in particular direction, that is displacement, that we denote by y. And then a is amplitude, and then amplitude is equal to sin omega t plus phi. So, phi is phase. So, phase means what? So, we measure phase with respect to the mean position, that is what is the position and what is the location, at what time the pendulum was here. So, all these things can be measured using phase. So, in 11th standard and 12th standard, we can talk mathematically using this equation, and obviously we can perform experiment. So, let us come back to the our presentation, that is performance session and then experimentation session, and then during experimentation session, students perform and record their observation and plot graph. So, look at the graph here. This is given in 11th standard, and this is just, we were talking about position, velocity and acceleration. So, we can see that this is like sine or cosine curve, but the phase of a particle is different, and it can be represented like this. Displacement is when displacement is maximum, velocity is 0, just like we saw here. So, graphical presentation is there, and also when displacement is maximum, then acceleration is also maximum, but in negative direction, because it is directed towards the mean position. So, here in 11th standard also we can do lateral linkages of the concept also, like in the chapter of rotational motion, we talk about the torque. So, here what is the meaning of torque? From this figure you can see that torque is equal to force into perpendicular distance of the axis of rotation from the line of action of the force. So, here force is acting here mg, that is acting vertically downward, and perpendicular distance is L sin theta. So, axis of rotation is OA, that is axis of rotation, and this is the perpendicular distance. And you see in the case of here, in the case of pendulum. So, this is the perpendicular distance, my arrow is showing here, this is the perpendicular distance. So, with the help of this activity, it becomes very clear that what are the various concepts here, and then again we need to keep in mind that performance of experiment, virtual experiment, or performing in real classroom situation, real laboratory, it is very important that teacher has to pay attention to develop curiosity of the learner, open mindedness and suspended judgment, critical thinking, logical thinking, and ability to see relevant information, facts, concept, opinion, because in this digital era it has become all the more important, because lots of informations are available. What are the relevant information and what are the criteria of relevant information that students should be made aware of. And skepticism does not mean that you doubt someone, but means that you have to verify the information, we have to find the explanation, justify your explanation, and objectivity, truthfulness in reporting observation, and students should be made aware that even you can become a scientist, even you can discover something, provided you are curious and you record your observation truthful. So, you know that bumblebee eyes was discovered by some child. So, aversion of superstition and perseverance is also very, very important. So, all these things should be paid attention to here while performing virtual experiment. Now,
and here I would also like to inform all our learners that we are left by the last 10 minutes in this conversation. So, if you have any of the queries, anything you would like to ask from our experts, then do mention it in the comment section of NCRT Official. If you are watching this particular live telecast through television, then viewers, you can feel free to connect with us at this contact number and the mail ID that's flashing on your screens.
Okay, Simran, now I will take one observation and I will show that how teacher can keep the record of the students. So, here we can type whatever length is there of the pendulum, and then time period 20 oscillation can be noted down using the timer given. And I will show you one thing, that the question generally arises that doing assessment is okay, but how to manage work, assessment work of 30, 40, 60 students of a class.
Yes.
So, one example is this is one of the ways, like a group of 2 students can be formed in the class, or 2 or 3, better 2. So, they can discuss among themselves how experiment is to be performed, they can discuss the concept. And look here, a Google document can be formed. The name of the Google document I have given, record of the virtual experiment July 14, 2023. Okay. So, now experiment number I have written and the link I have given. So, that just paste this link to the Google and you will open this experiment. Okay. And now simple pendulum experiment, this has been done by say student ABC, by 2 student, 3 students. So, they will record this experiment, their observation here. And how to record? You go to the web capture, you open the experiment and simple pendulum experiment. Look here, I shall save it as a document, or I can click it, or I can take web capture of this page, and then I shall copy it here, and also I can take printout of this. So, hard copy can also be collected. Similarly, for student number 2, student number 3, this document can be kept. So, if there are 30 students in a class, so we have 15 pages to assess. Okay, and then from those 15 pages, teacher can make judgment very easily. So, this is a part of the electronic portfolio also. And while performing experiment, here LT square graph can be plotted using Excel sheet. So, this has been shown here. So, since it has been done on the Excel sheet, so from the Excel sheet you can draw, you can find out the slope. Just within bracket you type SLOPE, then slope will be calculated, and find out the mean using Excel sheet. So, this is the result of the experiment. And if you plot graph by hand, then least square method will be followed. Here it is not perfectly straight, drawn by here. And the other thing is very important, in the simulation you can see that there is Viva Voce, one icon in the news workshop, training, registration, and then there is Viva Voce. So, here 10 MCQs are given. So, say I am blindly clicking 1, 2, 3, first part of all these, and then I will submit. So, there is possibility that all questions are not correct. So, I will click second time. So, in the first attempt I got only say 8 questions correct. Yes. In the second attempt I got only 9 questions correct, and in the third attempt I got 10 questions. So, student can submit their self assessment sheet also. So, this will also help teacher and student to reflect on their learning. So, keeping record and doing assessment is also part of our virtual lab. So, this I think that this description will be helpful to the teacher, and if any feedback, then we are
here for you.
We will be happy to interact with you.
And as ma'am just mentioned about the document, this will be shared with you shortly, and before the link expires you all can try it, and you can paste the link on the Google and you will land on the Diksha platform, and then you can do several experiments. Thank you so much ma'am for being a part of the conversation and sharing these important details with all our viewers. And as our viewers have been asking us from the past 5 days about the post session activity, and I believe that the link is uploaded on the website. So, let's check and let's see what do we have in there. So, all you have to do is you have to open the website of CIET, that is www.ciet.nic.in. Then viewers, there are the 3 kinds of activities. In order to know more about the online training on pedagogical perspective of virtual labs on Diksha, all you have to do is just click here. So, once you click here, this is the home page of this particular training session where you land. Now, the objective of the training program is to explain the policy recommendations for the requirement of virtual labs, describing the significance of using virtual labs and teaching learning assessments, then the scope of virtual labs, and also exploring the possibilities of integrating virtual labs in teaching learning assessment of English, science and mathematics. Now, when we talk about the post-session quiz, who all can participate, whether it's the students, teacher educators, parents, administrators or general public, you all can participate in the post-session quiz. Then the program schedule of the sessions, as you know that the quiz is to be uploaded today, but you have the time of at least 1 month by which you may submit your entries. And in any case, if you haven't watched our videos to know the answers of all the questions that will be asked in the quiz, you can obviously watch all our videos, and the links are uploaded right here with the title of the sessions, the names of the resource persons, the days and the dates for which the live telecast was there. Still, we have the recorded videos for all of you, and the links of the recorded videos are right there on the screen. So let's scroll a bit down and let's get to know more about how you all can participate in the post session activity. Now, step number 1 is registration. You can register yourself by clicking on this link that's accessible in blue, or by scanning this QR code on your screens. Now, once you register yourself, the important thing is that you watch all our live training programs. You have to attend these training sessions that are live streamed on NCERT official YouTube channel, and we started the training sessions on 10th of July. We are concluding it today, that is 14th of July. In case if you haven't watched our sessions, then you don't have to worry, because here we have the uploaded links of the recorded live telecast for all of you. Then let's scroll down. The participation in the post session activity and certification, it's quite simple, and the post session link, it is uploaded. You may click on the link, you can access this quiz, but for that you have to register yourself first. Now, the opening date is today by 6 p.m. You will be able to access this quiz, and the link is already there, and the closing date is 14th of August 2023 by 6 p.m. So, by 14th August, you can share your entries, you can submit the answers of the quiz with us, and participants, you are allowed to attempt the quiz only once. That is, one participant can be attending the quiz only once, and if you score over 70% and above, so you will be able to receive a certificate of participation in your registered mail ID within 30 days of taking the post session quiz. In case if you receive over 70% and still within 30 days you do not receive your certificate, so don't worry, check your spam mails, and you can always write to us through our mail IDs. Then submitting your feedback is intended to know your experiences, learning and suggestions regarding our online training programs, and it is most welcomed, and your feedback matters a lot. So here is our link for the Google form for the feedback, and here you can also scan the QR code. Once again, I am repeating that the quiz link, that the post session quiz link is uploaded on the website of CIET NCERT, and you can access the quiz through this link. For that, you have to register yourself. If you score over 70%, you can receive a certificate of participation within 30 days of taking the post session quiz. If not, then do check your spam mails, and at the same time you can also write to us through our mail ID, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in, or we also have our contact number lying on your screens. It is 8800440559. And once again, thanking all of you for being a part of this particular conversation, and all the resource persons who have conducted these live training sessions for us. Thank you to them as well, and ma'am, thank you so much once again. Thanks to all the viewers, and I hope that you will be attending the post session quiz, and if you score over 70%, then you can receive a certificate as well. So what are you waiting for? The quiz link is already uploaded on the website, so go and try the quiz. In case you haven't watched any of the one sessions, then you can of course watch these sessions, and the links are right there on the website of CIET NCERT. So viewers, before wrapping up this conversation, here is an important piece of information regarding the availability of NCERT textbooks. As you all know that NCERT textbooks for the academic year 2023 to 2024, they are available all across the country, and you may purchase them from the different sales counters that are currently available at New Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Kolkata and Guwahati. Also, if you would like to place an order online for NCERT textbooks, then it can be done through the website that's flashing on your screens. It is www.ncrtbooks.ncert.gov.in, and if you would like to download the soft copy or the PDF version of NCERT textbooks, then it can always be done through different platforms. One of them is ePathshala website, the second one is Diksha platform, and the third one is NCERT's mobile application. In order to attain more information about the availability of NCERT textbooks, you can also explore the website of NCERT, that is www.ncert.nic.in. And once again, I am requesting you that you can access the quiz link and do participate in the post session activity, and through the feedback form, let us know how do you feel about our online training sessions and what was the best part about the training session. Now, we are closing this particular training session here itself, but you can always access our website, and You can get the detailed information for the upcoming training sessions as well. It's time to wrap up this conversation here itself, but stay connected because next up we have our session of Sahyog, a guidance for mental well-being and psychosocial support to all the students and viewers watching our programs out there. So keep watching Evidya channels and stay tuned with NCRT Official. Namaskar.